He shocked the world when he came out. So far, only China, South Korea, Japan, and France can produce independently. LNG ships are not only a powerful tool for ocean transportation, it is also a national strategic reserve. The interior is equipped with a back about 60 centimeters perlite slab, so that the protective gas enters 160 degrees and is reduced by 60 times before turning into a liquid state. And the 9-story height for groups of warehouses and tanks is covered with 20 centimeters Jianfeng liquid alloy, plus a 2-story high dual-fuel engine block to drive. Once filled, it's as powerful as 60 walking Hiroshima bombs. To understand it all at once, we must first understand the history of LNG. The predecessor of LNG was the Alamosa-class freighter that supported World War II in 1945. After 2 rounds of changing hands, it was sold to a British company in 1958 and converted into a Pioneer. But the original design at that time was to use 5 warehouse management evolution. It has now become 4. Although the number has decreased, but the volume has increased several times. According to the type, it can be divided into self-proclaimed, spherical with pattern, and SPB homemade scale. And what we're going to build today is a common mode LNG ship by sea. It is more compact in design, to optimize storage space. This is the local Samsung Heavy Industries shipyard, volume and Dalian Shipbuilding Industry Group Interactive China equivalent. But in LNG, the competition between Samsung and Interactive China is more intense. As a shipyard, in addition to steel, there are many real-world friends. 20,000 people come to work every day. 3,000 kilograms of fish are consumed in a day, and tons of rice, countless fruits and vegetables. So, let's get to step 1, making the hull. First, the steel plate is transported to the appropriate point. The equipment is automatically cut by numerical control process. It's not manual, but this production line is still densely distributed. Exhibition of 75 employees. Control 1 device for every 2 people. In order to improve the productivity of the laser cutting machine. Front and rear only. Raw materials are ready in an instant. In order to meet the requirements of different shapes, the workshop is equipped with 30,000 multi-ton integrated rolling machine. Once the steel plate enters the upper and lower rollers, the molding machine can manually preset the steel plate to roll to the desired angle. Different hydraulic forces produce different effects. But you can't do that directly. Instead, the secondary trimming of the plane is done manually. Advanced numerical control is no longer installed. You can only correct it slowly with the touch of your hands through experience. But fortunately, there is an auxiliary device. It can reduce worker brainstorming. And this is sort of a measuring ruler that a student would use. When we pick it up and put it behind the steel plate, you will find that the detection process is quite amazing. The wooden board and the steel plate fit together, which means that the angle is suitable. Once there is an inner layer, it is not pressed in place. So, let me show you how that works. The position consists of 3 employees. 2 people measure, 1 person controls the machine. You start by putting the board on the surface. Propulsive mobile observation. Once you find a gap, be sure to mark it. And complete the deformation reaction with the help of hydraulic force. Come to the 3rd step, welding screen. The red brackets are positioning racks used to support the steel plates. When we lift it up and insert it into the box, the bracket has the effect of a jack. Just wrap it according to the angle of the steel plate. This increases welding stability, prevents sliding and collapse. What is used here is machine welding. It is also one of the few that can take time to relieve the welding gun. It will move forward synchronously at this moment. When a position is completed, the whole steel plate is also formed. Next, it enters the production line where the most workers are stationed. It is also the most popular high-paying crowd in the audience. Basically, they have a monthly salary of over $10,000. This is what machines cannot do, but the job requirements are extremely demanding. If you stand outside your bed, it's only 7 or 8 hours a day. But once you reach the bottom of the boat, it becomes much more difficult. Cabins less than 1 meter are particularly laborious to enter and exit. If you happen to get in, you will find that there is no way to stand upright at all. To this end, someone in Russia said the classic saying, "Let me go to the battlefield and don't kneel here every day." The bottom part of the boat is less than 1 meter. Although there is ventilation, but there was still a lot of smoke and noise. But this is the everyday life of hundreds of thousands of people. Maybe this is love. With the split hole welded. And then it goes forward. Through the 3D screen, we can see that the hull is made of pieces. But you can hardly tell its size from a distance. Once on the side, the pressure of this behemoth is instantly formed. Workers on bicycles make way. There are even dozens of wheels on the transporter. Here's another one you don't know. That is, an LNG ship is longer than an aircraft carrier. Let's look at a comparison chart. This is a sailboat that can sail freely at sea. And then there's a transport ship from the 20th century. And then the carriers came along, and they were insignificant. If AMG comes out, even the proud aircraft carrier will be overshadowed. If you have no concept of aircraft carriers. So, here's a stark contrast. This is a normal size bus. We line it up end to end, since it takes more than 60 to be level with the hull. So, look around the world. Very few countries actually produce themselves. China, Japan, South Korea, and India are major importers. 3 have been completed from 0 to 1. It is said that India has also put this plan on the agenda. It seems that India still does not want to be the third. Here you have the main body of the hull. The next step will be the hardest to enter this round. The warehouse process. You know, natural gas can only be transported at a constant temperature of minus 160 degrees. That is, let the original gas be compressed to 1/600th of the original machine. For this purpose, the factory will install 2 layers of insulation panels inside the ship. Usually, the plate body is composed of knee-hedging and multiple layers of glass fiber, and add a layer of polyurethane foam about 30 centimeters thick to the bottom. Fiberglass and foam both resist heat. We took the hull apart by modeling. Inside it are 4 groups of 9-story tanks. Each group blocks each other and is not glued. The yellow material is the primary and secondary barriers, and then we pop the polyurethane foam in the main barrier. You'll notice it's wrapped in a layer of perlite slabs. When the polyurethane foam is overlapped, the thickness of the insulation board even exceeds 60 cm. As long as it is not collided by external forces, the moat hole will basically not be damaged. Let's start making the insulation now. First, apply a layer of special adhesive insulation to the surface. Then spread it into the hull in groups of 2. Once the whole process is manually laid, will be inspected immediately. Then stick the alloy with a knee content of 30% on the heat insulation plate. Low coefficient of expansion can maintain a constant size in low temperature scenarios. And then there's millimeter level precision welding. The key is that the total area of these for storage tanks is the size of 4 or 5 football fields. Basically, it is laid and welded one by one. So a big ship can range from months to years. It makes sense. Now, let's take a look at the details after laying. So, do you know how much natural gas the warehouse can hold? That's 40,000 cubic meters compressed 60 times. There are 4 in this volume spaceship. And the grain weight was unique. Let's take a look at this unique biography library. It is said to be delivering at a speed of 30,000 cubic meters per hour. One all. It will take a day to complete the farm. In fact, the core components of the hull have to be the internal combustion engine. It's designed to be 2 stories tall. If you just look at the valve cover, you can hardly tell the size. But to compare with people, the effect will be obvious at once. The key is not only to rely on diesel to drive the engine, it can also burn its own natural gas as a power source. So there is another scientific name in the industry called the dual-fuel engine. The engine is divided into 2 types, low-speed 2 process and 4-stroke medium speed. You basically never run out of fuel when you're at sea. So the cockpit. And there are all kinds of displays on the console. This is a ship called the Garth Logscon, now traveling at a constant speed in South India. In fact, LNG can be divided into LNG dedicated and LPG dual use. That is, in addition to natural gas, it can also pull gases such as ethylene and ammonia. So, have you ever wondered why a ton of welded iron bumps won't sink in the sea? And it's all thanks to Aquinito. Because when an object enters the fluid, he will experience an upward buoyancy. This buoyancy is equal to the weight of the fluid expelled by the object. Secondly, despite the weight of the hull, but its structure is designed to drain a lot of water. And that's kind of why boats float. It's often design that plays a crucial role. So thanks to Archimedes for discovering the welfare principle. Make a crucial contribution to the optimization of hull structure design for future generations.